We're live. We're back. We are on location with Todd and Kelsey, and also with Jason Hewlett.
Who just scarfed a Big Mac? Sorry, I just got a bit of gas.
He's gonna have some. He's gonna have some pickly burps here for the next little bit, but we can survive that. We don't have smell-o-vision technology yet here at TELUS, so you are safe at home. Welcome back to our first episode of our third season.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Congrats on 3 seasons, guys. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. That is awesome. Congrats on having some amazing work coming up shortly.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We're here to talk about some of that.
And the hot wife.
Yeah, thank you. All around.
I mean, I don't know if that's appropriate to talk about, but okay. I guess it's better if it comes from Kelsey than from me, right?
Yeah, it plays much better that way. Yeah.
Correct? Yeah.
Yeah, politically, we just dodged a big bullet there.
So you've been doing some investigations or some work into the Wendigo. Is that how it's pronounced?
The Wendigo. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Well, that was it was born out of something. I did a film and documentary a few years ago for Small Town Monsters called Cursed Waters. Okay. And the book was called Legend of Ogopogo. And then the movie was the book was a tie into the movie that I filmed with director Eli Watson. And I was looking into exploring the whole legend of the Ogopogo and sort of the whole cultural misappropriation of it, etc. And so between the finishing of that work and the movie coming out, I was talking with Eli, just because we had a lot of post-production meetings ahead of its release. And he asked me, so what book are you writing next? I hadn't thought about it, really. I kind of had been doing some research into the Cadborosaurus, which is a sea monster off the coast of British Columbia. And I was looking into the Wendigo. And I just blurted out, the Wendigo. I'm doing a book on the Wendigo. And he's like, oh, you should talk to Heather. Heather is a researcher and producer at Small Town Monsters who released Cursed Waters. Because he's like, we're planning to do a Wendigo movie.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, well, that's synchronicity.
Yeah.
And it kind of just went from there. And it was just a matter, I've always been interested in the Wendigo. It was something as a kid I learned about while reading an old Incredible Hulk comic, which you and I talked about before going on. And I just thought it was a comic book character. Because it was the first issue with Wolverine, and it was set in Canada, and the cover had, old green skin slugs it out with the weird way out Wendigo in Canada. And it looked like a hairy white Sasquatch with a tail. Mm-hmm. And I just thought it was a comic book character. And I would draw it, I drew my own Wendigo pictures because I thought it was the coolest looking comic book villain. And then many years later, I discovered it's not a comic book creation. It's actually a very true Canadian folk story. And so that just kind of became the opportunity to write a book about it and then, work on a film about it. That became the impetus for just doing all this research.
Very cool. So it's I didn't realize that it was necessarily a Canadian myth or whatever you would call that. Where does the history date back to as far as you've been able to kind of uncover?
There is no fixed origin point for it, but it's predominantly an Algonquin Cree myth. Mm-hmm. And basically the belief, this is the thing that's fascinating about it, because Supernatural, the TV show, did an episode 20 years ago with the Wendigo in it. And that's kind of where it really jumped into modern pop culture. But yeah, it goes back thousands of years. And it started off being more of a state of being you would enter. If you were part of the tribe and you took more than you needed and were being greedy and selfish, you went Wendigo. And what would happen basically as the story progressed is you became possessed by this spirit. And the spirit would make you see your friends and your family as food, basically. And eventually you would just kill and eat them. But you had to do something wrong, be weak of character or spirit for this to take you over. And so where this story took this real turn was with the Swift Runner, which was the late 1800s. And he was a tracker in northern Alberta that basically showed up at St. Albert at one of the Catholic churches there, saying that, his family was dead and, it was a bad winter and he was in a bad state. And over time, while he stayed there, he would start screaming out that the spirit of the Wendigo is trying to get into his room at night and take him over. And what they basically learned is that he had murdered and eaten his entire family. He was taken to Fort Saskatchewan, where he was the first person legally hung in Western Canada by the Northwest Mounted Police. And it's actually a documented Canadian criminal case.
Right.
And that's where the story really jumped from this Indigenous story into Western culture.
Oh, sorry.
I-
You make that noise. It sounds like you're about to say something.
My mom does it.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure if it was like more of a creature or more of a spirit, but from what you're describing, it sounds more like it's either a spirit or a.
Is it interdimensional?
Well, that's the thing.
Is it from another planet?
It's
No. I know that.
yeah, it's not an alien. Okay.
okay.
No.
I wasn't asking you, Kelsey.
That's the thing, and it's never been depicted as a flesh and blood creature until Algernon Blackwood, he was an author and broadcaster, wrote a book called The Wendigo. Before that, it just took you over, and you did these things. But after that story, it became this separate being. So it's one of those things that has morphed with time.
Yeah.
Nor did it have the antlers. You know, it's always displayed now with the antlers on its
Really?
head. Originally, it just was like this white, emaciated, bald creature that looked more like a rake, what people describe as a rake. And now it's this thing with these antlers, and it can be very tall, 8 to 12 feet tall, and sometimes its organs are seen on the outside. Its lips are gone because it's constantly hungry and eating. And if you get taken over by the Wendigo by consuming human flesh, you become this monster, and you're just doomed to wander the wilds till infinity, until you basically just self-destruct.
Right. You eat your entire family and then just wander off into the woods forever.
And if you come across someone, you eat them, and you eventually just kind of consume yourself. And
Yeah,
just
exactly. You start eating your own face from
Yeah.
the inside.
Yeah.
Are
You know?
they like bros with the Sasquatches?
No, there's nothing to suggest that they even get along. Actually, it's not like the old, the Bigfoot riding the Loch Ness monster sort of
Right.
thing or anything like that. This is one of those things. This story. This is what I found so interesting doing the research. This is one of those stories that is. There's nothing good about it. Like the Wendigo is 100% bad news, and people. Even up in northern Alberta, because I went in the spring of 2024 up to northern Alberta, and I worked with Morgan Knudsen, who's a researcher and investigator up there when I was doing my research and some filming. People up there take this story very, very seriously. Like, you don't talk about the Wendigo. You don't even try to think about it. Talking about it can draw it to you. And if you encounter it, nothing good will happen. In fact, your chances of survival are slim.
Hungry up there, probably.
Probably not, right? But they take it really seriously. And even down, I was talking with researcher Chad Lewis, who's featured in the book and in the film, and he's out in eastern United States where some of the Algonquin people still exist, are there. Like it's not just Canadian in that sense. Like they've gone down there, and even down there, like there's Wendigo sightings, and people don't want to talk about it. Like you avoid the conversation at all costs. There's no good side to a Wendigo. There's nothing positive about it. It is everything that's wrong with us brought into manifestation.
So we all have a purpose in life. What do you think the Wendigo's purpose is?
It's treated very much as a cautionary tale. This is what happens if you are a bad person, if you allow addiction to rule you, if you take things from other people, if you are greedy in any way, shape, or form, if you consume
your brother,
or even if in sense of consume, not just like physically, but you consume more than you need, you are inviting the Wendigo in.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I feel like in our very sort of capitalistic society where everyone is consuming a lot, we should be seeing more Wendigos than we are.
Well, that's what makes it really predominant. Like it's almost more timely now than ever
In a
before,
way, yeah.
right? And I'm kind of thinking about it. And I've in doing interviews to for the publicity of the film and the book, that comes up a lot in conversation. It's very much a story for now. So I think it's almost timely that I had the opportunity to tell this story at this place, because I look around me and I just see like the worst in people all the time. And just self-centeredness and greed and like not caring about anybody else. And that's all of that is what the Algonquin and Cree believe turns you into a Wendigo.
Right. How did you decide how to start the process of investigating this? Like, what was the first door that you walked through, or the first thing that you pursued?
It started because originally I was just writing the book, and then I would somehow be involved in the film. So I started off, I just started researching as much as I can, reading up on it. And then because the story did originate in northern Alberta, I reached out to Morgan Knudsen because she lives in Edmonton. And I was literally like, hey, Morgan, what do you know about the Wendigo? And she's like, oh, well, the Swift Runner story only happened about an hour and a half north of me in Fort Saskatchewan's in this direction and blah, blah, blah. And I actually knew someone, and we had like what we believe could have been a Wendigo encounter. And so the first thing I did is booked hotel rooms up in Edmonton and went up there and just started researching up there.
Are you ever scared you're going to get your head bitten off or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
It's one of those things that it's not something that you think of. Like, you just get so excited, like, wow, this is actually going to work. Like, I'm going to be able to tell this story. So that overrules any sense of fear.
Have you ever had fear come over you? Like, even with your ghost hunting and stuff, have you ever, like,
There's been
like,
moments.
I gotta go.
Yeah, there's been moments. And actually, last weekend, myself and Olivier Aslan, who's featured in the movie, Wendigo movie, we were working on another project. We were up doing a Sasquatch investigation. And something happened that was absolutely, like, we were very comfortable in the woods. We were armed with, I can't talk about it because you got to watch the episode, but there's one of those, and I think that's something like when you like, ghosts are one thing. You can't see them, and the chances of them being able to hurt you are pretty much slim to none. And even if you see it, it's like an apparition. You know, it's not like a physical thing.
Yeah.
When you go looking for something like a Wendigo, that at this point is now people believe is a physical thing, or you look for something that's like a Sasquatch, which is a physical thing. There's suddenly the physical reality that harm can be done unto you.
Yeah.
And so all I can say about the experience last weekend is we were in the woods. We're in the middle of nowhere, 50 kilometers up a mountain road in the middle of nowhere. And there's this freak snowstorm going on, which we didn't plan for. It wasn't supposed to snow. And you suddenly realize that you're experiencing something that could be real and physical, and you can hear it moving around in the woods. Now, it could have been anything. But the things are adding up that it could have been like a Sasquatch encounter. I'm not saying it was. And suddenly you're like, we're alone.
Or are you?
Well, but we are alone. We can't like just yell for, you were isolated. We can't yell for someone to come and help. And so we're there. We're each armed because we're not stupid. You don't go into the woods of Canada without something to protect yourself from something. But we made the conscious decision that we should probably start walking out because it's like 2 kilometers back to the truck and it's snowing and there's something else here.
Is that like, I feel like that's got to be a more unique experience now than it was, say, like 30 or 40 years ago, this idea of being that isolated. Because we are so connected to our cell phones and to the internet. And it's harder and harder to get that kind of true isolation, that when it happens, it must feel almost more disconnected than it once did.
Oh, for sure. And like, there's no cell service where we were.
Yeah.
Right. And even places we went in Alberta, like there's no cell service out there. Like you go into the Tuatna Valley where Swift Runner, like it's not even if he did murder and heat his family. When they found the camp, they found the remains of all the bodies and the marrow just sucked out of the bones and all this horrible stuff. So we went there, and even it was like May, but you're in the middle of nowhere. And sure, like down a few miles down the road's like a farmhouse and stuff, but that's it. And there's no cell service. And if something happens, you're in trouble. Now go back 100 and some odd years ago. Yeah, right. And go back 100 and some odd years ago when none of that was there, and you had like the old school Canadian winter where there's like 4 or 5 feet of snow, and it's minus 50. Like you can see how these stories would suddenly take hold, right? And you can even see today why they still persist and people believe them.
So what was, as you were investigating, either in Alberta or how you progressed, was there anything, like, did you dig up anything where you were like, oh, this is interesting. This is a really interesting thread that I kind of want to pursue for a while? Or like, one of the things that I find is interesting when it comes to investigating stuff like that is you don't really know what you're going to find until you find it.
Yeah.
Right? And so did you find anything that was like, oh, this is cool. Let's see where this leads us.
Yeah. Like what really fascinated, other than the fact that like, people still believe it and take it very seriously, which I did was surprised by that. And it was amazing how like when you'd go into places, like people would just look at you like, you're not from here. We know you're not from here. You're in this small town in northern Alberta. They know everybody. Who are you? Kind of thing. And we even had like, we were investigating a sighting at Mameo Beach, which was an hour and a bit south of Edmonton. And so we went to the sighting site and heard all the story. And then we decided to take this side road that would go down to the beach. That when I was with Morgan and them, they hadn't taken this road down before. We drove down that road, and probably like 20 to 50 meters behind that, through the stand of trees, there was a cemetery. And one of the people with us was Alicia Pearl-Werner, who's of the Cree Nation, and she's like, "That holy!" Like she was like, "That's a surprise." And we went, and it turned out it was an actual burial ground,
Right.
with like what looked like freshly buried graves to it. And she's like, this in their belief system, creates a more logical reason why we would have something that we could believe could be a Wendigo sighting, because you're dealing with a spiritual place, right? But while we were wrapping that up, and I'd put the cameras away at that point, we were getting ready to leave, this black truck came in from out of nowhere, and I document this in the book, blows right by us, drives into the middle of the cemetery, turns around, and just the driver just stops and stares at us. And it's a black truck, blacked out windows. And it was a highly unsettling moment.
Are you suggesting the Wendigo knows how to drive?
I don't think the Wendigo knows how to drive, but someone found out that we were there.
Right.
They didn't like us being there.
Interesting.
And they took affront to us even being in their traditional
But you're also
burial
not
ground.
saying it wasn't a Wendigo.
I'm not saying it wasn't. I could not see who was behind the wheel.
But people like to get mad at camera people.
They do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What
but
are you filming?
Why are you filming? What are you doing here? But it was just an interesting
especially
addition
too,
to it.
I guess at a cemetery,
Yeah.
that might feel, two people who don't necessarily know what's going on,
Yeah.
could have a feeling of like disrespect.
Disrespect, being intrusive, right? And that was on my mind going in, but you didn't expect to see this. And
Yeah.
you take a look and you go in and you film and stuff like that. So that I found that's kind of ties into that. The other thing that was interesting is how there's a thing called Wendigo psychosis, and it's actually documented in psychiatric journals. And it is an attempt to explain what this is. Like, it's very much only a culturally based thing. The only people ever afflicted with Wendigo psychosis are from Algonquin and Cree nations, but it's where they believe that they have been taken over by a Wendigo and it causes them to consume people.
So it's basically a demonic possession.
In a sense.
I can't believe we're talking about this on.
Well, it's Halloween season. But do you remember?
Sometimes it's just an excuse you give because you accidentally ate a family member.
Ate a
And you're
family
like,
member.
oh, what do I do now?
Wendigo
It's
psychosis.
Wendigo psychosis.
Well, you could use it, but it could be like a legal defense,
Exactly.
right?
Do we know whether it's ever been used as a legal defense?
Well, I don't know if it was used, but remember Vince Lee, who murdered that man on the Greyhound bus in Saskatchewan?
Yes, I do.
He had read an article before boarding that bus about the Wendigo.
No way.
Shut up.
Yeah, that's something I learned during my research. And what happened? He killed the person beside him
ate
and
some of
started
them, too,
eating
didn't
some
he?
of them,
Yeah.
putting himself in a bag, putting pieces in a bag.
We don't know that wasn't a Wendigo involvement.
But that's a modern day.
Released
That's as
that
close.
guy, too.
They did, yeah, with a different name, and
They probably checked to make sure he was free of Wendigos, though.
you would hope.
They
But
did like
the
a
fact
blood
is
test.
that I didn't expect, because I knew of the Vince Lee case.
Yeah.
But the Wendigo connection.
Yeah, no, I
to
didn't
it,
hear that either. But
which was interesting. So that's in the book, and it didn't put it in the film because then you're just dealing with a side topic. Like that was an interesting thing to write a book and then have the honor of kind of taking this book that inspired the film and adapting it yourself and realizing what works and what doesn't work and what you want to put in to keep the narrative flow of the documentary going and not. But I was glad that in the book I could actually really spend some time diving a bit into that and going deeper into Wendigo psychosis than I do in the movie. I talk about it and touch on it, but don't get into it as deep.
interesting.
Yeah.
Are we gonna get psychosis from talking about
No, you won't get Wendigo psychosis from talking about it.
garlic?
Garlic will not help you.
How do you
No,
protect yourself from?
you don't.
Oh, that's bad news.
That's bad news. Yeah, you don't. In fact, when we did actually, as part of our research, because there was a sighting reported to me while writing the book in the Paul Lake Pinnetan area, so we decided for the film and part of the book to do an investigation up there, and that's one of the things we were trying to read about. Okay, so we're going to go looking for the Wendigo. What do we do if we actually find it? And it's kind of like not a lot.
We
Like
eat
you
each
can't
other.
do you can't do a lot about it if you find it.
Yeah.
Like it has a heart of ice. It's taken if it does possess you, your heart literally turns to ice, right? So the only thing you can do when you catch someone, mostly you want to kill them. That's really all that works.
Right.
Before they actually fully turn into a Wendigo. So you dismember them. This is like Evil Dead stuff. You dismember them. You find the heart, and you basically have to shatter or melt the heart, like thaw the heart
Right.
out, and then you take all the pieces and you scatter them, and it's crazy. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And
It's gotta be awkward. Like if you've dismembered this person, and then you cut out the heart, and the heart isn't frozen, and you're like, "Oh God, I guess this wasn't a
wrong
Wendigo."
person.
right. Well, and there's been cases, especially a gentleman named Jack Fiddler, Jack and his brother Joseph, that they were, as part of their tribe, they were the Wendigo hunters. So if someone was believed to be becoming possessed or has been possessed by a Wendigo, it was their job to dispatch them.
Okay.
And the only occasionally, if you did say pour like hot tallow, which is like melted fat and stuff, hot down someone's throat, the thought was that it could melt.
Right.
But think of the harm being done to the person.
So that would be a treatment, so to say.
Yeah.
Wendigoism.
But 99.9% of the time, their solution was they had to kill them. And they had to kill family members. They had to kill people they knew who were believed to be possessed by the Wendigo. Eventually, the Northwest Mounted Police did catch up with them. And there was another legal case about that. And Jack Fiddler actually hung himself before he could be tried. Like, it's just, and that's what I think I found the most fascinating, is how often this has crossed over into actual true crime, Canadian criminal law.
Interesting.
Which makes it unique.
Are there, like, when it comes to, like, these Wendigo investigators or hunters or whatever, are there specific things that they look for as far as, like, a sign that someone is a Wendigo besides just the members of a community going, that's him?
You got to think back to when this all happened, right? There wasn't much more than that. But yeah, it would be the behavioral patterns, behaving in a more of an aggressive fashion, and vocally talking about, like, I'm not seeing, my wife who I love. I'm all I see is someone that I want to eat.
Yeah.
Right? That's the big one. And like what Swift Runner was doing, like these people didn't want to be taken. So they'd have like these vivid outbursts of saying the Wendigo is trying to get me. It's coming into my home at night, threatening me. You know what I mean? Like Do
you think there's an element of this that stemmed from kind of these harsher winters where maybe there wasn't a lot of food available and people get hungry? And it's like in the cartoons when you got the two cartoon people on the desert island and one of them starts looking like a turkey leg.
That was always in Bugs Bunny. I used to love that, right? Yeah, no, that's typically when it would happen. It would be like during these harsh winters where there's not a lot of game, which is why the psychosis.
Right.
So, idea popped into like people's heads that maybe it's more of a mental health issue than anything else. So that's what I find is so fascinating about it. There's all these different aspects to the Wendigo. So it's not just like someone saw a monster in the woods or in a lake. Like there's a lot more layers to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's leading to like actual crimes, either by people who are, thinking they're Wendigos or people thinking that they're taking out somebody who was a Wendigo. Like there is actual bloodshed coming as a result of this.
And it's crossed over into our justice system in the early days frequently enough that there's something to it in that sense.
How did you go from sort of working mostly on the book to becoming more involved in the documentary? How did that transition happen?
It was interesting because like initially. So Small Town Monsters would do these series for Kickstarter backers only that was called Cryptid. It was like Cryptid Chupacabra, Cryptid Goatman, and there's going to be Cryptid Wendigo.
Right.
And Eli Watson, who did Curse Waters, was the one behind all of these. And he just, in the end, didn't really enjoy making them. So they were like, well, we'll do something else. Like, they were interested. They bought the rights to the book. So originally, like, Eli was going to come up and he and I were going to make the film last June. And then, for whatever reason, Eli moved on and to do something else instead. And so there was like Seth Breedlove, who runs Small Town Monsters, like, well, maybe I'll come up and do it and we'll just make the thing. And then the project was, the book release and the film was pushed back to 2026.
Okay.
Just because of their schedule was already full. And so that was the way things were going. And in this I think it was late last March, I got a text from Seth like one morning and he's like, hey, do you have time for a phone call? And I'm like, sure. And so he calls me up and he's like, so when you went up to Alberta last May, you brought your camera, right? And I'm like, yep. And he says, and you shot a bunch of stuff? And I'm like, yep. And he goes, so how would you like to direct the Wendigo movie and finish the book and have it both come out by Halloween? And then I want you also to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And I was like, okay. Like, without even really thinking about how was I going to accomplish it. And especially this is like April. And the date to have it submitted was by end of August.
Wow.
Plus, I was working on some other stuff.
And the documentary by the end of August?
Yeah, by the end of August.
And you hadn't, I assume at that point.
I'd started writing the book.
But I touched the documentary.
But as soon as it was said, like, it was delayed to 2026, like, well, I'll just, write the book when I feel like it, and I'll just, work on some other stuff.
Once that deadline is pushed, man, it's like practically not even there.
Do not care. And there's like, oh, I got to figure this out. And so it was this mad dash to figure out how I was going to do it. And then I wanted, because there's certain people I talked to for the book where now you got to get permission to use their story in the film.
Right. Yeah.
That's a whole other part of it. And then you need to kind of backtrack for certain locations I went to in Alberta because I didn't care.
Yeah, you weren't expecting to have to use any of it.
No. Yeah. And then it's like, there's not enough material that I shot in Alberta to make a full feature length documentary out of. So that's when the idea was we're going to focus a bit more on the Paul Lake Pinatan story, which I touched on a little bit, like in the book, like I said, and I sort of filmed a little bit of, not thinking, because I didn't know if I'd need footage or not, or if they wanted any of the stuff I shot or not. And so that investigation becomes the wraparound story upon which I ended up telling the rest of the Wendigo stuff that I'd learned in Edmonton. And it worked out that we could go up and do a nighttime investigation. And so you got all the stuff that people like in these things, which is like the boots on the ground, night vision cameras and doing stuff that looks really exciting and dramatic, which is kind of like the last 25 minutes of the film. And it also makes up the kind of the beginning. And then you've got like the traditional documentary research, headshot interviews, going to certain locations, revisiting things. And then I worked with an editor named Jason Morris, and he did a really great job of, through the conversations that we had, of making everything work. Because there's certain things I realized when it was finished, I just had holes in that I couldn't film. I had no way to kind of go and do transitional stuff. So how are we going to do that? And we just figured out a way to make it work. And it worked, I think. I hope. I'll find out tomorrow when it drops officially for everybody at 11 a.m.
You've obviously, I would hope, seen the finished film at this point?
More times than I care to think.
Okay. So when was the last time that you saw it?
I actually watched it Thursday night because for Squad, they have Small Town Monsters has like their Squad membership, so it's like you can sign up as a member and watch content early, like Patreon-y kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it came out on Thursday for them, and I've been a member for years because I've supported them even before I started doing work for them. So I actually got to sit down the other night and just for the first time actually just watch it and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And I've got feedback from other Squad members who've watched it and quite enjoyed it and really quite liked it. And so that makes me more comfortable leading into tomorrow morning instead of just like not knowing how anyone thinks about it.
Yeah. How did you feel like when you watched it on Thursday? Because I know for myself, like as a filmmaker, it can be different from when you're looking at it from a creation perspective and you're often looking at, 1 minute at a time.
Yeah.
This and it doesn't happen here.
Oh, yeah.
Looking at it as a cohesive whole. What were your thoughts on it when you did finally sort of watch it as almost as much as an audience member as you can be?
Yeah. I was surprised, because the first cut was like more than 3 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we cut it down to like an hour and 43 minutes. That includes credits and stuff like that. And I was really, again, surprised because I've watched it like 100 times. Like you say, more scrutiny that it actually moved quick with the running time. I wasn't bored, even though I knew everything that was coming. Like there was no more surprises.
And that can be tricky, especially when you've seen it those many times, like not be bored with something like that.
Like, come on, just get past this part because, whatever. I also saw everything I wanted to do differently.
Okay.
That was hard not to avoid. I'm like, I don't want to use as much of this kind of stuff, and I wish we didn't do that. And okay, that makes sense, but if I did something else, I wouldn't. So I've learned a lot having just completed another documentary. I learned a lot from that process anyways. Right. But I was able to sit and enjoy it and not be bored by it, and thought it moved well, and I thought the pacing, I thought I could see how someone would find it interesting, and that's the big part. The feedback I've got so far is that they found the history of it fascinating, and there was the information I provided. People really liked that, and it got them asking questions and stuff. Right. And then they liked just some of the other, more adventure aspects of the story and stuff like that. So that's good. So I feel I did my job.
Yeah.
Especially for making it, I call it like filmmaking in reverse. Because usually when you start on a documentary, you just start putting it all together from scratch, and you figure out kind of what you want to do and everything. Is where I kind of did. This is what I have to work with. Yeah. And now I've got to figure out a way to make it a feature length and tell a coherent narrative.
You already had all the footage. It was now a matter
bits and pieces, and then needing to add more to it and see how to flesh it out.
Flow
because initially, like when I kind of the 3 hour plus cut, like it flowed, but there was just stuff. It's like it started to get bogged down because I was trying to tell too much, and you need to pick. Even though it's a documentary, you got to pick a story
for sure. Yeah,
and you got to pick your characters, the people that kind of are the most important, and then from that you create like this through line that then you hang your everything on. And so there's stuff in it that I thought would have been that works so good in the book, but it just in the film it's like it's too much, like the Vince Lee stuff, and you just kind of got to take it out. And
sure, yeah.
Maybe one day the STM will be like, we'll do like a 3 hour director's cut, and you can just put it all back in, because I have it. I actually still have the full 3 hour one somewhere. I didn't get rid of it.
Patreon or something, maybe.
Yeah, you never know, right?
Who owns the film in a case like
Small Town Monsters.
Okay.
It's their film. They in the end hired me to make it.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah, and same with the book. They have the copyright on the book as well. Yeah.
Right.
It's a random question now.
Okay.
Are there any like mystical creatures you don't believe in?
I don't even know if I believe in
You're
the
open to anything.
Leprechauns?
yeah, you have to see a leprechaun. I think the world is so much more interesting with the possibility that these things could be there. Like, I don't know if I believe in everything that comes up, and I think people take things like the Wendigo and twist it into other things. You know what I mean? Like, and I think a lot of that goes on, and they'll say like a skinwalker and a Wendigo are the same thing, and they're not.
Right.
And I think I'm open to all this. I think it's all fascinating. But
I think too, like when it comes to something like a Wendigo, you have the question of like, there's obviously the Wendigo in the sense of people have gone crazy and eaten their family members.
They've gone Wendigo.
So they've gone Wendigo. So like that's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
But like, is there an actual spiritual force that's forcing them to guide them, or is there an antlered thing that's roaming the woods? That's a different question.
I don't think there's an antlered thing roaming the woods.
Right.
I don't. And so to answer your question that way, Kelsey, I don't believe in an actual physical Wendigo.
Right.
We went looking for one.
You think there's more of like a spirit of one.
Yeah, or it is a psychological place that you could end up, right? I think that's more of it. Or it could be a spirit in the forest. And when we sort of, I don't want to give too much away because I want people to watch it, but that's kind of, though, how we approached it. It was more of a spiritual thing in the woods than an actual... But we brought a gun and stuff in case something physically ran out with antlers to try to, you know what I mean? Just, you never know.
Just a really hungry guy.
A really hungry bear or a cougar or a bobcat. There's lots of things out in the woods that'll get you before some creature will.
I saw the Hat Man.
Did you? Mm-hmm. See, and that's something that's been reported quite a bit.
I didn't know it was a thing until like recently.
Who is the Hat Man?
He kind of looks like a cutout of like Dick Tracy. He's got like a kind of a cowboy hat, but not. It's more of a detective hat.
Yeah, the fedora style hat.
And then like I believe he's in a trench coat, but it's all black.
Yeah. There's no features to it. It's just black.
It's just a memory of mine that I've had since I was like maybe grade 1, and I'm in bed, and it's second floor, but I looked out my window and he was just like, do 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 do.
Just walking by.
I remember that.
Is this like an actual like myth, or
it's an actual phenomenon that people are experiencing?
I didn't know that until recently, and I was like, "Oh my god, I saw that guy."
We actually had a report of a Hat Man sent to us, like Canadian Paranormal Society. We had a report of one, sent to us.
Where?
Was not in Kamloops. It was more down towards the Lower Mainland. So, and Pete handled that. Pete handled that case.
Kamloops? You've always been in Kamloops?
Well, it was in Rayleigh.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's
I don't care about that then.
But I heard that you have to be super like drunk on Benadryl.
And were you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But that's kind of the myth. Like you take a lot of Benadryl and then you see the Hat Man. Have you heard that?
I've heard there's so many different things.
What about what about that weird round faced guy who like there's a drawing of him? It's like he's in everybody's.
The Rusty Spoons guy?
You mean Salad Fingers? Yeah. No, there's a guy who is apparently like he's got a very round face. He's kind of balding with like some fuzzy hair, and there's a drawing of him, and apparently he keeps showing up in people's dreams.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not aware of that.
What does his face look like?
It looks like
Alfred E. Newman.
A little bit.
That's what it sounds like. You're the Bad Magazine guy.
Not like a less cartoony and more grown up, like maybe mid-30s.
Okay.
Kind of
like he grew up kind of thing.
Yeah. But less like sort of those like cartoony pronounced features, more like a regular dude, receding kind of hairline, but not bald. Like somebody look him up on your phone, the guy who's in
my phone is...
dreams. My phone is streaming right now.
Jason's Wi-Fi's not very good.
I can't look it up. Do you have a favorite story that we haven't touched on yet from the book that isn't in the documentary that you might want to share, or maybe a favorite story that didn't make it into either, and that way you're not, you don't have to spoil either of these things that you want people to go and watch and read.
Ooh.
Do you have something that was too spicy
Nothing too spicy. I'm trying to think. In the film, we did
romantic interlude with the Wendigo. The Wendigo.
Oh.
There's also
a three-way between me, the weather guy, and the Wendigo. The Wendigo's Polly. Bet you didn't know that.
I did not know. There is also the story of Napanen,
Okay.
It was another Algonquin Cree gentleman. It's in the book. It's not in the film. It was one of the ones that we just had to kind of let it go. But it was similar to Swiftwater in that he and his family were traveling to Trout Lake from wherever their camp was, and along the way, because it's a several day trip, and it was more in the winter. Same thing, napping and just started hearing things on the trail. Started believing he was seeing something. Started to say that to his wife and family that you aren't safe. Like, you should go on ahead, and I'm going to stay here and try to deal with this kind of thing. And so the family and everything went ahead to Trout Lake, and he stayed behind. Then when he showed up, sometime later, it might have been a couple days, he was behaving very erratically. Savage. Started talking about how everyone around him was food, kind of thing. The people at the Trout Lake tried tying him up. He could break his bonds. He was suddenly exhibited like superhuman strength. He was super strong. And in the end, the same thing. They had to kill him.
Crazy.
And bury the body. So, and all those stories, and that's the thing. There's very few that you hear about of people being saved. There was also a case at Charles Camsell Hospital in Edmonton, which I left out of the film because when we went there to film, they'd started tearing the hospital down and building condos. So, but apparently at the hospital, Morgan Knudsen had heard a story that there was an exorcism conducted at the hospital on a female patient that said she was being possessed by a Wendigo. So they actually tried to do an exorcism on her to exorcise the spirit of the Wendigo.
Did she throw up green pea soup?
Those details we didn't get, and no one knew what had actually happened. And so it became an anecdote in the book, but there wasn't enough material that I felt. Plus the fact that the location was being turned into condominiums.
Right, yeah,
that to put it in a film and throw this allegation out without ever being able to show too much to back it up could get some legal trouble.
I do feel like if there's a story about an exorcism and like no details on how it turned out, it probably didn't turn out well.
Yeah, probably not.
Like if it goes well, that's what they brag about. But it's like we don't know.
And Morgan had heard this from her doctor, who at the time was just sort of getting started out as an intern at Charles Camsell.
Yeah.
So it was a reliable source in that sense.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, otherwise you'd be like, we had an exorcism and it all went well and everything's great. She's fine today, living a normal life.
No,
but it's
she ate the exorcist.
She ate the exorcist and as many people as possible for jumping out a window and committing suicide because it was on the 12th floor, right? That did not happen, folks. What I just said did not happen.
No, we don't know.
We do not know what happened.
We're not saying it couldn't have happened.
No.
But we don't know.
That's what would have been in the Hollywood movie version.
That's what would have been in the Hollywood movie version. Right. And it would have said, based on a true story.
Sorry, yeah.
So I guess maybe going back to Kelsey's question about other like creatures and cryptids and that sort of thing. Are there any, of those sort of things that you haven't pursued an investigation of that you would like to? Anything that
Lizard people. Check them out.
She's into the fringe stuff, really, isn't she?
French stuff.
Fringe,
Yeah.
like more of the stuff on the edge. The woo.
Kelsey's a big David Icke fan.
David Icke.
Hey, David, give us a like, please. Like and subscribe.
I think I mentioned the Cadborosaurus earlier. Mm-hmm. I think that's something one day I'd love to work on.
The Cadbury
It's called the Cadborosaurus. So you know the Cadboro Bay?
No.
Okay, there's a Cadboro Bay on Vancouver Island.
Okay, now we know.
There's a sea monster that lives off the coast of British Columbia that has been seen for like hundreds, thousands of years. And that's something that I would really like to look into, much like I did with Ogopogo. The trick is you're looking for something on the ocean, so you need the resources to get the boat and all this stuff. Sure. But I think that would be fascinating to work on that.
Could they technically be the same thing, just different names?
Yeah, and I really like the descriptions of the Cadborosaurus are actually very similar to the descriptions of the traditional Ogopogo sort of thing, and even what's being seen in other lake monsters. So I think if it's a real thing, it's of the same species. Right? I don't think all this stuff can be there's all these different species of weird things out there.
Right.
I think they've got to be similar enough to be part of the same
thing. There could
thing.
be like underground caves where it's just like one guy going around.
Oh, or you've got to think actually from the Pacific Ocean, they're in a roundabout way, you get up into Lake Okanagan by taking the Columbia River and a few other rivers and that kind of thing.
He's just one sea monster that likes messing with people.
Or a small group of species that travels about. Like messing with people. And if you believe the indigenous people, all of the lakes in British Columbia are connected by underground tunnels.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I believe it.
And there's nothing to say it couldn't
Where
be,
the lizard people live too.
Probably.
right?
Yeah.
Hollow Earth,
Hollow
all
Earth.
that kind of stuff.
Yep, there are lizard people and Nazis down there apparently.
Yeah, the Nazis had to go somewhere.
They did. Yeah.
Okay. Just
Even that's too much for Kelsey, the Nazis.
drama.
No drama.
Sorry.
But I think that's what I'd really like to look into. And I mean, stuff like Mothman I find really interesting.
Mothman comes around when there's something bad is about
That's
to
the
happen.
that's the story. Yeah, it's like a harbinger of doom. Like they apparently saw it before 9/11 and they saw it before Chernobyl. And obviously the Point Pleasant story, saw it for like months leading up to the collapse of the bridge, which was also documented.
Is there a theory behind why he shows up prior to things, or
No, this just seems to be the pattern,
Maybe
right?
he's in charge of it.
John Keel wrote a
Jerk.
book, The Mothman Prophecies book.
I have heard of that.
It's a
and
great
was,
book. It's a great
It
book.
was made into a movie. Too.
The movie's not so good.
Like Richard Gere.
Yeah, it's okay, but it deviates so much from like the Keel's book tries to get into all that phenomenon. Why? So I think that's interesting. I don't think anyone's seen one in Canada.
Yeah, something else I was curious about is like the Mothman kind of restricted to certain geographic areas, generally speaking, or
Not that I know of. Like we've seen in Chernobyl, it obviously is no trouble going to Russia,
I
Hate
guess.
moths.
right?
I really hate moths.
So you're suspecting you would probably hate Mothmen as well?
I just don't like them. So can you imagine a big one?
Yeah, no, that would be
Different.
that would be.
It looks like a person.
But if you
but
get
he's
their
like a
wings
moth.
wet, they're screwed.
That's how you take out the Mothman. You
Just get a fire hose and just blast them out of the sky, right? Or even a squirt gun.
need
Yeah.
a water bottle and like
Yeah.
just swoosh.
Go away.
Yeah.
Ah.
So did you have a crazy experience when you were a young boy, and did that just do something to you, and that's why you are the way you are now?
Tell us about the first time you thought about eating a family member.
Did you see a ghost and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my god?
Yeah, I can't remember if we talked about this the last time or not.
I think we did. I just want to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
okay,
I can't
but-
remember either because it was either the last time we streamed or it was when we did the other documentary thing as well.
Oh, yeah.
So it could have been both.
It might have been.
But either way, it's been a few years. So, I
So,
just
so
tell
retell it again. Okay.
Yeah, sure. We got time.
When I was growing up, probably about 5, and we were going to pick up a buddy of mine who was coming over for a sleepover, my mom and I. And so we drove to their place, and for whatever reason, she got out to go to the door, and I stayed in the car, which was a purple gremlin. I have to
Right.
bring that up because it was a horrendous looking car.
You saw a purple gremlin.
I know. I thought
No.
you meant his
But it was just a car.
No, my mom.
My mom was a purple gremlin.
My mom gave up a Mustang for this purple gremlin, and I've hated her for it ever since because she was like, the baby stroller didn't fit in. I'm like, who cares? It's a Mustang, a 1965 Mustang. Come on. Anyways, so I was in the back of the car, which was a hatchback and not a Mustang,
The baby can handle it.
right? And she's went up to the door to get my buddy. And I remember looking out the back of the hatchback, so the window at the street, North Shore Street here in Kamloops. No one's on the street. And then suddenly this face pops up in the back. And the way I described it is it looked like Jason Voorhees without the hockey mask, like that kind of deformed Monglish face. And it popped up and and then it disappeared.
Shut up.
Like that quick, just boom. And I dropped to the floor and I didn't move because I was terrified of that until I heard footsteps. And I looked up and it's my buddy. And I'm like, were you running around the back of the vehicle? He's like, no. And I'm like, did you see anyone? He's like, no, man, there's no one on the street. And then my mom comes up and I ask her the same thing. And she's like, no, there's no one here. You probably just imagined it. But I saw it.
And you remember it clearly.
And I remember I am
still?
53 and I was 5. So I was 48 or 47. I was 48 or 47 years ago. And I still remember it.
Same with Hatman.
Right? And you don't forget something like that. It
No, I
just
guess
sticks
not.
with you.
Yeah.
And then you just start asking, well, what was that? And you start asking those questions. And then you start watching like In Search of and Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World. And then you start picking up every book on it. And the next thing you know, you're fascinated with that one incident sparked a whole, well, what was that? And why did I see it? And what's going on?
So following this 47 years of like looking into these sorts of things, what is the closest you've come to sort of landing on what that thing you saw might have been?
What is the close? I think that's one thing that I find fascinating is all the years I've done this and looked into it, and especially like, looking into it really seriously within like the last, 20 some odd years. Whatever answer I get creates 20 more questions. And I think that's partly why I like it so much. I don't think there'll ever be a conclusive
It's the
answer.
mystery.
It's the mystery that's appealing to me. there's theories that have come up that I like the John Keel, talking about John Keel earlier. He believed that there are these things called ultra-terrestrials that have been on the planet for as long as people have.
Ultra instead of extra.
Yeah, ultra. They are on Earth, within our dimension, within our world, or one next to it, that have been here forever, and they interact with us for whatever reason. And they've evolved as we've evolved. So as an example that he would use is like, we see UFOs, and we think they look kind of like spaceships and stuff. But back in like the Egyptian times, they called them chariots of the gods. Right. And then in the Victorian era, they saw like airships.
And then it became flying saucers.
And now it looks like, the high advance. They evolve as we evolve.
Right.
And they interact with us. And he cites cases of people that look like people, but they behave very straight. Like the Men in Black originally weren't like Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. They'd be really odd people. They'd talk odd. They'd dress funny. Like they'd have the suits, but the suits never fit right. And it's all part of the interrelated phenomena. And then Colin Wilson played on that. He was an author who wrote a book called The Occult. And he went into writing the Occult book, wanting to debunk it.
Okay.
And all of his research, and some 500 plus pages later, he couldn't debunk it. He actually became more of a believer. And he called it, instead of calling it like ultra terrestrials, he just called the whole thing Faculty X. And it was basically, I'm paraphrasing in my own words, the paranormal is a natural phenomenon on this planet. It's been here as long as the planet's been here. So before we were even here. And when we were living on the plains in our little isolated groups and had to hunt and gather to survive, we very much interacted with it and relied on it as a form of survival. And it's only when we started thinking we were more civilized and we got created like church and science and all this stuff, we stopped relying on it and started relying on all these other institutions we set up instead. But it doesn't mean it's not out there.
Right.
And we won't cross paths with it from time to time. And people who are a little more in tune to it
doesn't mean
have more experiences.
Through the back window of your gremlin.
Yeah. So who knows? And it's here. We don't know why, but it's here to interact with us, and we interact with it.
Well, I mean, why is anything here? It just is.
It just is. We just are.
Yeah.
Like we create our own purpose in life.
Yeah, exactly. I think
otherwise we just do nothing.
Such an absurd question.
It is. It just is. It's just here. It's another phenomenon like the weather.
Yeah.
And all this kind of stuff and nature, and it's just there. And I think it's not bad. It's not good. It's just storms aren't bad or good. They just happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And even though there may be bad or good results from the storm.
Yeah.
It's not like the storm was trying to harm anybody. Again, it's just
natural.
natural.
It's just there. It's just a natural thing.
Yeah, just like the
they
sudden desire to eat
fake
family.
the weather.
Oh, that's true. That is true. It could be that they're faking the weather, and that they're breeding Wendigos in a government bunker.
Chemtrail Wendigos. Don't listen to me, you guys.
She hasn't eaten enough today. But I think that's the closest I can come to explaining any of it. That's kind of what that's as close to deduction as I can get at this point. And you have bad encounters, and I think you have good encounters. And I'm sure if you're dealing with stuff like a cryptid, it just depends. Like something that's more animalistic, right? Or if you believe the indigenous stories, Bigfoot's a forest spirit, and how you behave in the woods will dictate how it relates to you. And in some areas, it's considered more hostile, and others more pleasant, and it just depends, kind of thing.
Wow.
But Wendigos are all bad.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing good that comes from
a Wendigo.
Yeah.
Or a Wendigo encounter.
Wendigo and Sasquatch were in a fight. We would always be like cheering on Sasquatch.
You'd want Sasquatch to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good way of thinking about it. Thank you for that's how you should break it and always break it down that way. Like if this thing is fighting like a vampire, who are you rooting for, vampire or Wendigo?
Oh, it's a tough one.
Well, I mean, the audience would fall in love with the heart of the Sasquatch because he's just a normal man.
Yeah, but vampires are always like sexy even when they're not sparkly.
What?
Not originally though.
No, but I think to some extent, starting with Dracula, there was.
They romanticizing
of
the
sexuality
whole,
and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But maybe some people find Wendigo sexy too. Maybe some people find cannibalism hot.
I'm sure there's a fetish for everything, man.
Wasn't that Arnie Arnie Hammer. Yeah.
Yeah,
Arnie.
yeah.
I almost
Oh, yeah,
Arnie
right.
Palmer,
Yeah.
Different guy.
Yeah.
So his grandfather made the Arm and Hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was funny when I learned that because it's like, oh, that's a very,
Because his name was
a
odd.
clever
I always thought
name.
his name was odd.
Yeah,
And
but-
now it's like, oh,
that's why.
yeah.
That's why.
Poor guy.
Poor guy.
Everything was against him
Everything
from
was
the get-go.
against him.
From the
Like, he
get-go.
was literally, what are you going to do besides become a cannibal fetishist?
Right?
Like, it's,
Yeah.
um,
Wonder how Henry Cavill felt working with
He's
him.
got nice eyes.
he does. Yeah.
Right.
Henry Cavill?
I wonder how he felt working with him, finding out that after the fact.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I feel like Henry Cavill could defend himself from a cannibal.
Yeah, I think he pretty much could.
I think, okay, now we got Henry Cavill versus a Wendigo. Who do you think is winning?
Oh. I don't know. No one seems to win against a Wendigo. So
Oh, boy.
Yeah, what would be a Wendigo's like
A Wendigo killer?
enemy?
Frenemy. Oh. Well, I feel like a Sasquatch could be a frenemy. Like one of
Could.
those, like,
Dogman, maybe.
will make eye contact and be polite to each other if we encounter each other at like a tea party or something. But
But if you overstep your boundaries,
if you
there's
overstep your
trouble.
bounds, and I'm never inviting you to my place.
Yeah.
Mr. Wendigo.
How did we get on this
I
tangent?
don't know. Do you have anything else cool? Or,
What are you gonna dress up as for Halloween?
yeah.
Indiana Jones.
There you go.
Aw,
I have the jacket. I got all the components I need, so I'm ready to go.
yeah.
I just have to shave off the beard in time and grow enough facial
Sure,
stubble
some
back
stubble.
because he doesn't have a beard.
You
No.
go trick or treating? Where?
No, I'll stick around close to home. My son's now almost 14, so he doesn't want us to go with him. Him and his
away,
buddies
Dad.
go out on their own, so I'll just hang out at home. And
You got to figure out how to like flick candy at kids with the bullwhip.
oh
Like out of the bowl. Like,
Or if some kid takes too much, like one too many,
yeah, just grab it arm.
drop it.
What are you going to go as
Yes.
for Halloween, Kelsey?
Queen of Hearts.
Oh,
Very nice.
like is that an actual historic queen or like just from a playing card?
No, if I was gonna be a historic queen, I'd be a. I would dress up as a lizard person.
Oh. Okay. Okay. You would like
Lizard eyes.
with like a crown.
Yeah.
I'm
and
Queen
horns.
Victoria. I'm probably not dressing up. Although I did buy Wolverine claws for myself this year because I've wanted to.
You should go as Wolverine.
I wanted to be like a really old fat Wolverine.
Oh, the old man Logan.
Well,
era.
except I'm older, even older man Logan.
Okay. Oh, even older man Logan.
You know, I'm bald and out of shape.
Like, I gave up.
Exactly.
Snicked. There, I'm done.
That was my approach. And I went to Spirit Halloween, and they finally had some decent Wolverine
That's
claws.
awesome.
So, who's Barf?
Isn't that his name? Barf?
Bart,
From
The Simpsons.
no.
Oh,
Barf from Spaceballs.
Oh, that's like the Chewbacca guy.
dog guy, John Candy.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
The Chris Farley.
No,
No,
John
John
Candy.
Candy.
John
Yeah.
Candy.
Why don't I? I guess because I hadn't thought of it.
Yeah.
And also don't have a barf costume. I do also have I have a priest outfit as well that I got I think not last year but the year before to go and see The Exorcist
Okay. Yep.
in the theater. I went in costume as so I could be like Wolverine, priest Wolverine too.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
So yeah, I got choices.
You got your. You can do your work. You'll make it work. You got 5 days.
I got
5 days to
I'll
pull
figure
it off. You'll figure it
I'll
out.
figure
It's
it out.
all
I probably
good.
won't do anything. I'll just stay at home with the lights off. Even when I have the lights on, nobody ever comes. I'm in a basement suite, so nobody
Oh,
ever
yeah.
comes trick or treating or knocking on my door.
Yeah.
So I've just stopped.
I found that when I lived in a basement suite too.
Yeah.
It was just like nothing.
Yeah, and I've already got so many legit spider webs around my door. I'm so decked out.
You're ready.
For Halloween. I've got 3 spiders living outside my door with a very insanely thick web going on.
Perfect.
Perfect.
You just saved yourself like a couple $100
I
on.
know. I'm gonna stick little candies in it.
Yeah. Little fake spiders to go with the real spiders.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What do you want to talk about, Kelsey?
Let's circle back to Jason here and talk about where can we find all your cool work. Like,
That's a great question.
yeah, do you have a website? Where's your documentary going to be
Okay.
played at?
So the film Tracking the Wendigo premieres tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Pacific on the Small Town Monsters YouTube channel, where it's going to play for a while before expanding to other platforms. If you jump on at 11 a.m. tomorrow, it's like one of their live YouTube debuts. So there's like a full-on chat that goes on, and people communicate. I'm going to be in there, hanging out, hopefully not crying. Probably drinking morning whiskey to be on the safe side, because that's when I'll get really nervous about it.
Yeah,
you know,
everyone's going to be like, "This interview sucks," and Jason will be like, "I tried my best."
So that you can watch that there. The book is out on smalltownmonsters.com, where you can order it off of Amazon. Yeah.
Is it like a print book and an ebook, or
Yeah.
Price?
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Sorry.
But it costs some amount of money.
Costs some amount of money. Yes, that's where you can find that stuff.
Cool. Anything else of yours that people can track down and watch and stare at and read? Or
I wrote other books. Legend of Ogopogo is also available from Small Town Monsters. And then the first 3 books that Pete Wren and I wrote are available through Beyond the Fray Publishing or on Amazon as well.
So Amazon is a good...
It's good. If you type in Jason Hewlett Paranormal, it'll probably all come up.
Nice. Are there other Jason Hewletts that publish?
There is a Jason Hewlett. We look similar. We both have hot blonde wives. But he's like a motivational speaker and comedian.
Okay.
And we actually get mistaken for each other and tagged a few times. We've actually only spoken in the sense that I'm not the right one, but he's a very nice guy. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Todd has an email twin.
I have multiple email twins.
That's cool.
I get so many emails from other Todd Sullivans, and some of them are interesting enough that I will save them. I have a Gmail folder called Todd2.
Todd2?
And I store all of my things. One of my... No, it's not.
But it's too bad, because it's why would you not keep them?
A year or 2 ago, I noticed that one of these Todd Sullivans was getting very into, he was apparently buying a tractor.
Okay.
Because I kept getting, day after day, these quotes from tractor places that were like, here's the prices on these tractors we looked at today. And then every once in a while, I'd get like sign-up notifications from like dating sites.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes... I'm the what do you call it? The recovery email for one of his other email accounts. So every once in a while, like Todd Sullivan 02 at gmail.com is trying to recover his account, and the recovery notice goes to me. It's like,
I can't help you, buddy.
Can't help you, bud. I've only ever responded to one of them, and it was a lawyer in Australia, I think, who was trying to track down a client that owed him money.
And you're like, I'm not that guy.
But it was the situation where like the lawyer had been doing all this work and was going to have to stop unless he heard from the guy to take care of the account. And it was the first time I was ever like, I should probably write back and be like, this is the wrong guy. So like, if you're expecting money from me, like it's not going to happen, but also like be aware that you haven't reached this guy. So keep trying.
Yeah. Just not this email.
Yeah, exactly. Everything else that comes in, I'm just like, oh, I'll read it and
delete or save.
Delete or save. That's exactly it. And I have had this thought in the past that like maybe it's like alternate universe versions of me. It's like maybe there's an alternate universe version of me.
Talk about that.
Yes, parallel alternate universes. Really string theory.
Glitches in the matrix.
Right.
Yeah.
Like my email address is like a one of those nexus points of universes where all of the Todd Sullivan email comes. And so I get emails intended. They're still intended for me, just other universe versions of me. Where
the farmer version of you.
There's a doctor version of
doctor
me.
Version of you. Yeah.
I saw his plans for his front counter at one point.
Cool.
That was neat. Yeah.
I once had, while we were doing an investigation, you'd find this interesting, Kelsey, because remember we used the spirit box? I think we talked about that the last time. We were at a house here in town, and we're using the spirit box and asking these questions. And my own voice came back over it.
Oh.
They call those mimics.
There's that too. And Wendigos are supposed to do that too in the woods.
Really?
If you hear yourself calling you, or someone you know in the woods calling for you, don't go. Don't
it
go.
was exactly like you. Did it say a thing that you would say?
It sounded like
I'm Jason Hewlett.
Basically, it was almost like that. It's like, can you please tell me your name? And it's like, my name is Jason. And it was my voice. And even Pete's there's like, dude, that's you. Like, that's you. Like, it was my voice 100%. And I heard it.
Whoa.
Yeah. So was that like Jason Hewlett
from another dimension?
Another dimension.
Yeah. Have you ever seen or played the game Phasmophobia? Have you ever heard of it?
Yes.
Have you played it?
Yes.
What do you think?
It's hard.
What's it called?
Phasmophobia.
You're a paranormal investigator.
You're a paranormal investigator with generally like actual gear.
Yeah, the gear that we would use. Yeah.
I was playing it for quite a while with my daughter. We were quite into it. And I was always creeped out using the spirit box. Every time the spirit box would answer back, I was always like,
Oh, that's what it's like when you use them. It's
Yeah.
like, that part of it's really neat. But I've died so many times in that game, and I'm like, I've yet to die on a paranormal investigation. Thankfully, knock on wood, because it generally doesn't end that way.
You're like really, really good in person.
Yeah.
The stakes are maybe higher in the video game.
I think the stakes are higher in the video game. Yeah,
it is a fun game though.
It is. It's good.
Anything else you want to?
I think that's really it.
Any more email stories, Todd?
No.
A thing I can think of off the top of my head. There is another Todd Sullivan writer out there, though, that I had to clear up because I have an author's page on Goodreads.
I was joking. I'm not interested in hearing about it.
Okay. Anything else you want to touch on, Jason?
I think we're good, Todd. She seems very hungry.
Before we go, first of all, thank you, Jason.
Thank you so much for having me on. This has been fantastic.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been good.
And I'm probably going to do this wrong, but we have a new thing we're supposed to say at the end of our episodes now. If you want to get in touch with us to maybe come and stream with you, because we are always looking for people to stream with, there might be somewhere on the screen, there might be a QR code that you can use.
Right there.
To up here.
There.
To connect to a place where you can let us know that you're interested in streaming with us. And we're always looking for people who wanna what?
A little warning. I have no idea what. We should have practiced this part.
But I also didn't think about it until we got here, and then I just was like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna wing it at the end.
So we have a QR code.
Well, we don't.
If you see their QR code, hit it, because they will come and tell your story.
This is something that TELUS, I think, is going to do in post.
Okay.
I think this is our first stream of the year, so we're just kind of seeing what's happening, and maybe there'll be a QR code, maybe there won't be. If there isn't, it's not our fault.
Fun.
This is the kind of professional content you